Yo, let's go. Today I got a special guest in the building. We got Strange Show Matt in the house, bro. Ready to drop some knowledge, ready to fucking tell us what it's all about, bro.
What's up,
What's
buddy?
up, man? Hell
Thanks
yeah.
so much for having me on the show, homie. I'm glad to be here.
Hell yeah. Glad you came, bro. Good to have you. Good to have you for sure. Hell yeah. Well, I got a couple questions. You already know what I'm about. You've seen the show. Um,
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. So if you want, we can get right into it, or unless you got something, you want to get out,
I
Yeah.
got nothing, man. Just wanted to say thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate you bringing me on. I'm excited to get into some growing topics. I got me a little live rosin loaded up,
Oh,
ready to go. If I can
let's
turn this
go.
thing on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we're ready.
Let's
Cheers,
go.
buddy.
Bro, I've been trying to get one of those, man. Those are so fucking cool. No, I'm still in the past. You know what I mean?
I
Uh,
still rock the flower piece all the time. I got my classic beaker bottom right off screen every day. It's the daily driver.
Let's go. It just seemed convenient as hell. Can, what's up, brother?
Yo, what
What's
up,
up?
Don? Big up,
His
Don. Don's awesome.
hell yeah, Dawn of German Nation. Hell yeah.
Brittany's in the house. Brittany Kearney, what up? We got Panero Tree in the house. I see a lot of homies here, a lot of familiar faces. Thank you all for coming to hang out with us for this conversation.
Hell yeah, bro. Thank you all. Thank you all. Well, if you want, we'll get right into it.
Yeah,
For
dude.
Macho.
Macho's in the house. Sorry, I'm choking up.
You good, bro? You
Just
good.
seeing all the homies, all the fam in the chat is making me choke up, brother.
Love it. I love it. All right, man. So first question, what inspired you to start growing cannabis and what was the first steps that you took?
Oh man, I blame really High Times magazine and really Cannabis Culture magazine too. But I only found Cannabis Culture magazine because of my interest in High Times magazine. I grew up in Alabama. So,
All right.
although there were people in my life that, like this plant,
Mhm.
growing was never on the radar. So,
Yeah.
seeing these magazines with these amazing plants and these like little underground guerrilla gardens and people just doing this every day. People did this every day.
Mhm.
And it was something I couldn't imagine. And so when I first saw these pictures in High Times, I was hooked immediately from there.
Like an old school porn mag, flipping it
Yes,
up. Nah.
exactly. Exactly.
I love it, bro. Hell yeah. So, how did you first grow, or your first grow experience go? Was it successful or was it a learning experience?
Oh, it was not successful at all. It was definitely a learning experience. My first few grows actually were when I was probably at an age that I shouldn't have even had access to cannabis or cannabis seeds. I definitely wasn't living in my own house yet. I'm popping bag seeds in the closet with, compact
Shout out the
fluorescent light.
closet. Sorry.
Yeah, and you're trying not to let mom see, and the closet is glowing like heaven is inside of your closet, so you get busted real fast. I remember one time I had insufficient lighting. My plants just weren't doing good. I waited till my mom was at work, and I put the plants outside on the roof, bro, in the backyard on the roof. I was like, they're going to get magnificent sunlight on the roof. You can't see them from the street. And we had all these big pine trees growing over the house. So I was like, and even if per se a helicopter was above our house, you can't even see the house. But I'll put it in the sunny spot. And then I was gone at my friend's house. And my mom's outside in the backyard. And of course, she sees like 6 fucking weed plants on the roof.
Yeah,
And
dude.
she calls me like, "What the hell is wrong with you? You think this is okay? You think it's okay to grow drugs on the roof, Matt? How dumb are you?" And I was like, "Yeah, fair point. Fair point." So yeah, there's a lot of learning involved. A lot of mistakes were made.
I'm fucking weak, man. That's the first. I never heard of that one. I love that.
I was an eager young man. I really
Yeah.
wanted these plants to pop off.
Yeah. Fucking love it, bro. Well, shit. So, what was the biggest mistake you made as a beginner grower, and how did you learn from it?
Aside from that, because that actually surprisingly it went pretty well. Luckily, mom
Oh.
was the only one who ever saw it, and she corrected my mistake real fast. Big ups to mom. Thanks for the nice reminder there. But
Yeah.
I think my biggest mistakes when I first started off was like underestimating like the necessities, because like I said, I was usually, or not usually, I was always popping just random bag seed, not even necessarily from the best cultivars, just like the best thing I had at the time.
Yeah,
It was
whatever you
the
could get
best
your hands
bag
on.
from this week. Grab a couple seeds from that, throw them under any old compact fluorescent light from Walmart, soil from the same store. You have no idea what you're doing. You're feeding them Miracle Grow.
I'm about to say it. Miracle Grow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember one time I used the Miracle Grow soil that was really, really, really high in nitrogen, and all through veg, these plants loved it. And then
Yeah.
as soon as they transitioned, they were like, "What is happening?" And it
Yeah.
was in the soil. There was nothing I could do. And I
Yeah.
look at the ingredients, and it's like 30% chicken poop, which is like super high nitrogen. I was like, yeah, this is for growing tomatoes. So I really underestimated, like, there's some things you can't get around. You need good genetics, you need good lighting, you
Mm,
need a good substrate to grow in, and you need proper nutrients in the correct amounts. And without, like, at least those things, you're pretty much destined to fail in some way. You might get lucky. If you could have bag genetics that turned out okay, if you had those other 3 or 4 things.
yeah.
But if you go in with none of those things, like I was trying to do the first, I don't know, dozen times I ever grew this plant, I was like, man, this shit is hard. But it wasn't hard. I was just not doing it right. I wasn't even doing the basic necessities.
Basics are key.
Yeah.
So, love it. So, what's your thoughts on advanced lighting setups, such as like LEDs, HP versus HPS, and how do you choose the right one for your grow?
For me, it's an easy choice. If I had a way to mitigate maybe the heat from a humongous HPS bulb, because like I'm in like I work a lot in commercial spaces,
Mm,
and there's still a lot of grows where it's very common to have these double-ended 1200-watt high pressure sodium bulbs because like they're super super powerful. They just put out a ton of light,
yeah.
like an amount of light you really can't compete with in an LED hood, but it's at great expense because it's very very hot and it runs a ton of electricity.
Yeah.
And so if there was any way I could mitigate that at home, maybe I would consider it. But HPS, I've dealt with those bulbs and those ballasts before, and they're just such a pain in the ass.
Oh,
They will
the
turn
hottest.
a whole 20 by 20 room and crank it up to 96 degrees in the whole room from one light. You're like, what is
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
What have I
100%.
unleashed in this room? So
Oh
for
yeah.
me, the LED is the clear and obvious choice. And a lot of commercial spaces are even going to LED now because as LED lights evolve, they just make more sense. People are growing amazing plants with LEDs, really dense, really big nugs. I've seen a lot of commercial grow spaces that have made the switch, and all that happened is they made more money because they either
Cheaper.
had the same or better quality yields, I mean plants, and they had less energy expense because not only are they having to power the big light, they're having to power the AC system on 100 all day long just to keep the room cool enough not to fry the plants.
Yeah, that shit's not good for the AC units to be running the way
No,
they run them. Fuck
no,
no. No. Shit's constantly going out, bro.
constantly. And then when it breaks, you better hope your repairman can be there that day or you're going to lose a whole room. And when we're talking about a commercial space, losing a whole room could mean
That's the end of
losing
the
your
go.
whole business because if a
Yep.
whole room is the difference in your bottom dollar or if it's a difference between payroll, some of these rooms are huge. If we're
Mhm.
talking about a room that's worth $400,000 at harvest, that's hard to just let it slide and let that go. Most companies don't have the, especially right now with the way the industry is going in Colorado, most companies can't take that loss.
Fuck no.
That would
No.
kill them. They'd shut their
100%.
doors tomorrow if they lost a whole room like that.
Big facts. Big facts. And so with that subject in mind, what's your thoughts on the whole like certain strains do better under HPS versus LEDs because that's the ones that they were bred under, all of that talk.
That's interesting. And like I wouldn't be like if someone showed me research that backed this up, I could see a side of me that would go, well, that sort of makes sense. But if someone also showed me the opposite research that said there is no factual basis to this, this is absolutely bro science, that could also sort of make sense.
I love
It's
it.
one
All
of
right.
those things that it seems like, how do you know that? How are we confirming that? Are we growing the same? It would have to be the same exact plant under the same exact conditions, minus the light. And then you're going to have to test this plant. How? You test all the terpenes and cannabinoids, and you're going to have to run this test at scale a bunch of times. I just don't know where is this coming from is my question.
I, I don't know. Some
I don't know either.
university.
That's the thing.
Some university, man.
Oh, it did come from. See if it's from a
I, I'm,
university. I'm
I'm
interested.
from what I heard, it came from a white paper, but I'm not too sure.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
See, that's interesting. I never knew this. As far as I knew, this was just thing I heard through the grapevine. I never heard anybody have like anything to back it up with. Oh man, I'm always
I'll look into it for
it's
sure.
like, show me the science. Where's the research? How do we know this? What is the mechanism of action?
Well, yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Even if I'm not just trying to be skeptical, it's really more of just being curious. Because
I'm gonna see the science.
Especially if it's something that doesn't make sense at all. Like I really want to if it's counterintuitive, well, now I'm really interested because that's not what you would think it to be. So let's figure out how this works and why.
Hell yeah, bro. All right. What are your thoughts on nope. How do you approach dialing in the perfect VPD for your maximum plant health? Are you a numbers guy, or do you feel like you don't really have to worry about that?
I feel like I'm learning to care about it more and more the longer I grow. And I really picked this up from another grower that I worked with a lot. He's been growing for, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 years. But I noticed that his rooms, every time he was in control of a room, his room would always seem a little extra wet to me. Everything he ran just seemed humid, extra humid all the time. Okay. And his plants looked amazing. His rooms were great. And I was like, and I started talking to him about this, and he started explaining to me how much better the plant can transpire, and therefore how much better it can utilize nutrients when it's able to, cycle this moisture from the soil up and out through its leaves. That's how the plant's working this stuff. And so nowadays I have a VPD chart that I keep on the wall. I got it with my Pulse Pro meter. It shows you the ideal VPD range for veg, seedling, and flower. And it shows, where you need to be in your relative humidity and depending on what exact temp you're at. Okay. So since everything is so automated now, I just have the little automatic controllers to do the exhaust fan. I'll either set them up, depending on which one I'm running and what they have, I'll either just set a high temp or high humidity range or both. Or some of them have where you can just set a VPD range you want to stay in, and it will control the fan according to that. So nowadays, it's really easy. Like back when I'm trying to grow these little compact fluorescents with a box fan in the closet, they didn't make that kind of equipment yet.
Fuck no.
Hell no.
Hell no. We're dreaming of that.
Oh, yeah, man. I remember when I first started seeing this stuff, I was like, oh, shit, it's over now. People are about to start growing weed everywhere.
Yeah. Bro, like the advance of science from when I started, shit, bro. Amazing.
No doubt.
So, did you have anyone in your life who introduced you to growing, or were you self-taught?
Oh, man, when I was younger, I always felt like sort of an idiot, like a weed nerd. I felt like such a nerd. All of my friends made me feel so stupid for being into this plant. People made fun of me. They said I was goofy. Oh, man, he wants to read a magazine about weed, man. I was like, man, fuck you guys. This shit's interesting to me.
Hell yeah, man.
It seemed like everybody around me didn't care nothing about this plant except yeah, man, I like to smoke. But why would you want to learn anything else about this plant besides how you light it on fire and smoke it? I was like,
Fucking
well, it's
dead.
more interesting than that to me. And so I'm just, I'm out here reading my little magazines and stuff like that. And really, the people that I had that were like the first people I had to talk to about cannabis growing were on the internet. I remember forums like Grass City. That was a big one, man. I was on Grass City all the time. What was the other one? Man, there's one I'll think of in a minute. Roll It Up was one.
Roll it up.
420forums.com, that was
Yep,
one.
I
There
know.
was a bunch.
Yep.
And so you could get on there and like everybody make a little fake screen name because it's illegal everywhere, and you just put
Yeah.
a little picture of a cartoon and you ask your growing questions and you get to know people, and you'll post stuff and people tell you how stupid you are and what huge mistakes you're making, and you're like, okay, cool. Thanks for looking out.
I love it. I love it. Oh yeah. So the community was your, we'll say, mentor, I guess.
Yeah,
in
the
beginning?
internet was my community and mentor.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
you, internet.
bro. Thank you, internet.
I'm giving it back. I'm trying to give it back nowadays.
I love it. So when did you first realize you had a serious passion for cannabis cultivation, and what fueled that? Like, what really drove you to be like, all right, that's it. I wanna grow this for the rest of my life.
I think it was when I realized that, like, because something about growing up in Alabama, I remember having a cousin that I was real close to when I was growing up. And even like before we were old enough to know why we wanted to do this or what New York or LA was even about, we sort of just always knew, like, hey, I don't know about you, homie, but I don't want to live here for very long. I'm trying to move away from the countryside. It's real, no, it's real plain and boring out here, there's so much more to the world than just here. And I
Mhm.
grew up in a place where so many people had never left that little town they were born in. So many people that I grew up around had never even been a 3-hour car drive away from where they were born. They've been right there in their little town their whole life. They live and died there. And I was like, I don't want to do this, man. And I'm reading these magazines. There's people out in California who are growing out on the hillside. And I remember there was people in New York who were like doing guerrilla grows in their apartment. And I'm reading all these articles and looking at these cool pictures, and there's a through line to everything. There's somebody who is an employee at High Times Magazine, and his full-time job is to just travel around, learn all of these cool things about cannabis, take a bunch of nice photos, and then report these things in the magazine to teach people. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
Fuck,
I
to
want to
sign
work
me
for
up.
fucking High Times Magazine. And so
Yeah.
when I was a young kid, when everybody else has like dreams of doing, I don't know what, being a rock star or selling a mixtape, I was like, I want to work for this one weed magazine, dude. And people are like, you want to work for a magazine? That's your moonshot goal, is to go work for a magazine? I was like, you don't understand. It's a different kind of magazine. And I was like,
It
okay,
is,
this is
yeah.
a way to make like this life that I always read about and seemed just like the coolest thing ever. Here's like a career path where that is your life. That's just what you do. And little did I know that I would end up doing something now, like doing YouTube videos is sort of very similar. I'm going around and learning about this plant. I'm taking pictures to document it, and I'm sharing what I learned with the community. Just not in a magazine. I'm doing it on YouTube.
Yeah, totally.
And instead of
Yep.
having a boss at High Times who tells me what to cover, I just pick the topics I want to cover myself. So it's sort of like my dream job this is sort of exactly what I always wanted to do,
Hell yeah.
except even better somehow, which I feel super, super lucky to be able to do. And then, like, even when I need to pay the bills and work a 9 to 5, that job is also in a commercial cannabis grow, which is something that if I went back and told all of this stuff to my 15-year-old self, my little 15-year-old self would be so proud of my adult self. You'd be like, man, you're the coolest dude that ever lived.
Fucking legend.
Yeah, bro. So it's so
Okay.
crazy to see how that, like, just being inspired from, like, literally reading articles and looking at cool pictures, it shaped my whole life. The first day recreational cannabis was legal in Colorado, I was in a dispensary making a purchase, and I came here to visit, like, for the weekend. I stayed for 2 months, and I made a bunch of friends, and when I went home, I was always like, "Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty badass." And now I'm comparing that to my little old town in Alabama, and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that's the move. That's what I gotta do." And so then, like, everything at one point in my life, everything started getting real weird at home. All the people I grew up with started gravitating toward hard drugs and doing weird stuff, and I just needed to, like, I could see it coming. I could see, like, this bad stuff reaching out and swallowing up everyone around me, and I wanted to distance myself from that. And I was like, "Let's go back to Colorado for a little while." And it was just a plan. Let's just go chill for a little while. Let's go chill out for a little while in Colorado. And then I started working in this industry, and it just, like, I was like, "Yeah, this feels right. This feels like what I was meant to do." I never wanted to stay there anyways.
Oh yeah, bro. That dude, following your passion, your dream, everything. That is, yes,
It's
fucking.
crazy how it ended up all like, because for a long time it felt like it was the wrong move. For many, many years, I felt like I messed everything up and it was the absolute wrong move.
I'm just
And to
question
see where
everything.
I am now, it's like I could have given up. I should have given up 100 times, and I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah, bro. Fuck, you killed it, bro. You literally. I would honestly say that, in my eyes, I killed the dream. Killed it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, buddy.
Fuck. All right. So let's get
What's
into a
up?
little bit of techniques and stuff. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yes, bro. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. All right. So how do you how do you incorporate advanced training techniques like defoliation, the soise, and then how do you? What the fuck? Just do you apply either one? Sorry.
um. Okay. There's a few here. I like training. I'm a big fan of training. I've
Yes.
rarely, maybe never grown a plant and just let it grow from the ground and grow the natural shape it wants to grow. And a lot of that comes from being in the commercial setting, just seeing how much and how vital that is, what a big difference it can make.
Mm.
So, pretty much in every grow, I'm thinking, well, and this is up until recently, because very recently I've switched over to auto flowers. I'm still learning how these are going to work out for me, and they'll be a little different. But for photo period plants, I'm usually running a few less than I probably could. And I'm trying to run them a little bit bigger, and I'm trying to really spread them out. I really like to spread that canopy out flat instead of a Christmas tree shape. I really like to get a nice thin canopy like this. And I like to go from corner to corner. I don't like to waste an inch. And that's because even though I love these LED lights and they do work really well and they're really efficient and they're really great with heat, they don't have great penetration. Like with most lights, like the further and further you get away from this light, it's just not doing much at all. If you're 10 inches away from that light compared to 1 inch away from that light, the difference is astonishing. So I'm trying to really flatten everything out. So for that, a lot of things I like to do is I'll usually top all of my plants on their main branch, usually around maybe the 5th node.
All right.
Sometimes I'll top
Shortest.
multiple branches. Also like to skirt the bottom of the plant. So I'll go through and maybe cut off the bottom 1/3 or maybe even a little more of all these bottom scraggly branches that are never going to make it to the canopy, that are just going to end up being larvae or something anyways. They're going to take energy that my plant could use to grow nice, big, juicy, frosty top colas, and they're going to waste it trying to poop out little larvae all over the bottom. So I'll cut those off. And I like low stress training. I'm always tucking and weaving. Like I said, I would rather have 2 plants in a tent that I could have maybe fit 4 plants in the tent, and I'll just space those plants out and I'll tuck them and weave them in every direction I can. Instead of letting them grow up, I'm growing them sideways. I really
Scroggin.
like to grow sideways for sure.
So you do apply like a scrog net and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Almost
Okay.
never grow without the net.
Hell yeah, bro.
And then
Nice.
for schwazing or schwazzing or however you're supposed to pronounce it, I
Yeah.
like. I'm a fan, and that's another thing I've picked up from in the commercial facility. I remember there was a place I was working at, and they were trying to figure out who was going to be the lead grower. So they split the facility into the two candidates. And they're like, all right, you run this half of flower, you run this half of flower. We'll check back in 3 months and see who wins.
Let's fucking go,
And
bro.
the homie Jesus, he had one. They were pretty similar in their techniques, but my homie Jesus was running this side, and he was like, "Matt, I think we need a stripper. Let's strip her naked." And I was like, "Let's do it, dog. It's your show. I'm here to help." And we would go through and we did this, and we kept our rooms like this. And we were killing the game. Our plants looked better. They weighed more. They smelled better. Like everything was better. We had less problems with pests. The IPM crew liked our room better. It was easier for them to get spray coverage. It was nice. So
I love it.
that's something I like to do also is like usually around the first week of flower, I'll go in and I'll do a pretty heavy defoliation, which sort of sucks because
Takes forever.
it does take forever, but also when you're making videos and stuff, it doesn't lend to a very photogenic canopy. It looks real fucked up, actually. People are like, man, you brutalized her. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I did. But it's
Sweet.
like controlled stress. This is a little bit of stress that will be, in the end, beneficial, I believe. So I'll do that once at the very beginning of flower. And then I usually go through about midway through flower week 4 or 5. And I'll hit it one more time. Like real good. Like I'm talking about be aggressive. Like if there's any family that's covering a bud site that I can't tuck around the trellis net and make it not cover a bud site, it's got to go. Nothing like I'm trying to get all of these bud sites to be able to see a direct path to my grow line.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's too
And
easy.
not only is that great for light penetration and get dense buds, but also like if you're supplementing CO2, it's helping this move in between your plant. It's also helping prevent little microclimates between all these leaves jumbled up together to help prevent bud rot, powdery mildew. It's less places for pests to live. It's less physical leaves for them to lay eggs underneath. So I like it. I like that. Some people don't, and I wouldn't argue with them, but to me personally, I like it.
Swazing in a commercial facility is insane. I will say that. That is crazy. I had to do that by my fucking self. And let me tell you right now, that's like an all-day event. And like
you'll
even
spend
then,
8 or 9 or 10 hours in the grow room just pulling leaves, and then you'll come in tomorrow and do it all over again. And then you come in Wednesday and do it all over again. And then Thursday there's a harvest. And Friday, you set up the new room. And then Monday you come in and you have to do it again Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You're like, is this like this every week? And they're like, absolutely, brother. This is your job now. This is your life. Hope you love it.
Yeah. That shit kills me.
There's much worse jobs, though. Like, I would rather pull leaves for the rest of my life than almost any other job I can think of on the planet.
Yes. Yeah, no. I'll take pay cuts and everything just to be doing this. I don't care.
Yeah, dude. Hold up, you said there's a job available at Burger King scrubbing toilets. Yeah, I'll take a pay cut. That's fine. I'll go pull some more leaves, sir. I'll be done any minute now.
I got you.
Work Saturday, no problem with me, sir. I'll be here. And that's one of the problems with the cannabis industry, how it first started off, and people really got into the habit of paying people real cheap. Excuse me, because when the industry was new, excuse me, damn, when the industry was new, there was a lot of people like that. Wide-eyed children, basically. Please, sir, let me work in your marijuana garden. I'll do it for $7 an hour. And I was one of them.
Fuck up the whole goddamn game, goddamn it.
We sort of messed up the whole game. People were coming from Alabama and Indiana and Oklahoma and just swarming like, please let me work in your garden, sir. And so now everybody sort of got into the habit of just paying minimum wage. And you come into someone and you're like, hey man, I'm I was actually running the last facility yet. I was a grow lead, and I have 8 years experience in the garden. They're like, well, the job, it does pay $9.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, man, that's sort of the point I'm making. That doesn't really seem like enough.
Yeah, dude.
I got to pay bills and stuff. Have you ever heard of bills?
No.
Did the
No.
rich have bills? Because we still have them.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know. They don't pay no bills.
They
Fuck
have a
no.
person to pay bills. Their accountant does all that.
Wait, yeah, wait. You want more money? Hold on. There's a guy. There's a guy in California. He said I'll take the job for free at this moment. So
Yeah, this
you're
guy
fired.
from Indiana is just dying to get into the legal industry, and so he's coming out. He's walking out here. He has to walk half of the way, and half of the way he's going to take the Greyhound bus. But he's determined, and he'll do it for $9.
That fucking kills me, man. So, what's your preferred method for starting plants? Do you like seeds or clones? If either one, why? What's your preference and why?
It I guess depends on the situation because I do like seeds for like they got a really strong taproot. You can get diversity with seeds that you're never going to get with a clone. But like say if I needed to pop seeds like in these commercial facilities, oh my god, it's unfeasible. Like it's just makes so much more sense to do that less often than possible. And at home, like for instance, if I have a plant, if I pop some seeds, I pop a 10 pack and one of them is crazy. Number 6 is just woo. And there's no way I can let it go, but I don't necessarily, know what to do with this.
Mm.
I can always keep some of these plants in veg, take clones from them, flower them out, see which ones did good, keep the ones that are worth keeping, and not keep the other ones. And it doesn't take that much space for me to keep a mother plant around. So I can just sort of let it stay in the veg cycle in a little veg tent where other plants are doing their thing. And then if I want to reintroduce that, I can go grab me some cuts. So I like both, but I'm really always I really like trying new stuff. So 9 times out of 10, I'm just popping a seed.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I like the adventure because you never know what you're gonna get. Like, what's it gonna like smell like? Especially when it's certain lineages like F1s, F2s.
Yeah.
When it hasn't been worked too much,
Yeah,
and
when
there's
you got
still
that
that big old
F1, there's no
variety.
telling what you're going to get in a 10 pack. You might get something real fun that no one else has even really seen before.
Facts, facts.
Some
So,
people are afraid of the seeds because, there's a lot of money can go into your seed investment. And
mhm,
especially for a beginner grower, it's the scariest part. It's like imagine having a child. It's the scariest when they're a baby and they're the most vulnerable and everything is new. You don't know anything yet. It's the first week as a plant dad. You're like, oh God, what's gonna happen? And plus, this is all of this equipment you've just bought, and now you spent extra money on the genetics, and you're like, okay, I could mess it all up right here. I could waste this seed. I could just make the seed wet and it never open and I mess everything up. So some people like to buy clones for that reason, but I don't trust bringing clones in really from outside. If I'm bringing something in from outside, it's going to be a seed because a clone, I've heard too many horror stories of even clones that are dipped and stuff coming
mhm,
home to people's gardens and spreading crazy stuff around
yeah,
their garden. Don
got
was in the chat earlier. I have the can now, and I've been seeing it for anyone in the chat that doesn't know about this can. You got one on the wall.
right
This
here.
little thing right here. Go to Instagram and look up pictures of this and see people's success rates in 24 hours. I'm talking about like 100% success rates, like 99% of the time. It's
Bro,
insane. I'm
all,
excited to use that. I'm about to use that for my next grow.
bro, killer,
You've
killer.
been
All
running
of
it
the
already?
Oh yeah, 100%. Bro, I use it for all of like the old like because I play with a lot of land races and shit, and then
Oh,
I've been
nice,
sitting
nice,
on
nice.
like seeds since I was 11 and shit. So
Whoa, fun.
yeah, so anytime I pop one of the OG seeds and shit, I always use like I've been using the can and it always germinates. Always, even old ass fucking seeds
Yeah, it's
germinates no
crazy.
problem.
All right,
Like
so if
the
you're
things.
always messing with land races, I want to interject in the conversation to just ask you a personal question. I made a video that asked the question, are real land races still around? Or have we sort of flooded the genetic gene pool of the world with crosses? Sort of like influencing even land race genetics, because like even in the as early as like the 80s, people were taking seeds from Holland, you know, like all around the world, and being like, can we trade some seeds, brother?
Mm-hmm.
Give me some of your land race, I'll give you some of this. You breed this from Holland into your land race, it's going to make everything better.
Fire. Yeah. 100%.
And so do you think like you can still, like, I know you have the old ones you've been sitting on, but do you think if I wanted to find like real land races that are like
You got
as
to know the
close
right
to
people,
untouched
man.
by mankind? I don't know. The question I was asking in the video is, are there any left that are truly untouched by mankind?
I wouldn't say untouched by mankind, because like the true like untouched ones like that we're still looking around. I will say I think if I'm not mistaken, we're still finding some ruderalises every now and then again. But otherwise, I, I don't. I'm almost positive we ain't gonna find any fucking like solid fucking sativas hiding
Yeah.
anywhere anymore,
Yeah.
unless it's like it's been something somebody found, got that seed, and then has stashed like,
Or it's like
like,
that hidden beach, like the movie. You ever seen the movie The Beach with Leonardo
oh,
DiCaprio from the
okay,
90s?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a little
untouched by
place of
man.
the world that only 20 people have ever been.
Yeah,
And they're like, you can't tell anyone or we got to kill you. This is our
yeah, dude.
secret beach.
Yeah, maybe like somewhere deep in the Congo or some shit, like really deep in the Congo.
Yeah, okay. I was just making sure I wasn't like too far off base with that assumption, because I felt like that too. Because you got to think about, you can go almost anywhere in the world, as
Mm,
far away from society as you can imagine, and look on the ground and there's like a plastic bottle and a fucking Twinkie wrapper. And you're like, man, mankind has been all over this whole world. We've touched everything in
mm.
some way.
A
And
good
especially
amount of
like
it,
when
yeah.
you're talking about a plant like this that so many people are interested in, and they have been interested in for like millennia, and not just interested in it like, oh man, this is cool, it gets us baked. So many cultures have revered this plant as sacred, and they
Mhm.
used it to cultivate for seed and cloth and food and everything else, and for culture and religion. And so when something is like that ingrained into human history, and people have such a hand in cultivating it for so long, I feel
Yeah.
like that sometimes the people will sometimes try to, sell landrace genetics, and they'll
Mhm.
claim this is that untouched Durban. And you're
Yeah.
like, is it though?
But it's if you yeah, it's not untouched. It's if you really look at their shit, it's like, oh, I had this one and I pheno hunted it, and this is the one I liked,
Yeah,
and then I made like femmes of it or something like that.
yeah,
But it's
exactly.
untouched. That's not
Because
untouched.
a lot of landrace strains, really the untouched landrace strains, if you really have the history to go back and see any of them, which is really, really hard to do. But
Hmm.
just like going back and even looking at pictures that people were taking of the best land races they were finding at the time, even in the 60s, these plants don't look like the plants we grow today.
Oh no.
And if I sold you some seeds that had these crazy foxtailing airy buds, it was like 17 inches long of bud and it weighed 1.2 grams. It weighed a gram. You'd be like,
Yeah.
man, what did you sell me? I'm like, that's the classic land race, bro.
Classic.
Now you have to do something with that. It's ugly and it grows like shit, but the terpene profile is there.
Oh yeah.
Now what you have to do is spend 5 years working on that to figure out how to not make it grow like shit, but maintain the terpene profile. People don't really want that. They
Yeah.
just want something that's called Durban poison and it smells real strong. Like they expect Durban poison to smell.
Yeah, and then like honestly, like the flower times and everything, a lot of people don't want to grow that.
No, no,
11,
dude. It's like,
11, 12 week, dude, come on, nobody wants to
yeah,
do
yeah.
that.
12 weeks for a shit harvest. It's like a 90 to 10 leaf to bud ratio. It's like all kinds of messed up. It's the biggest pain ever. It's really susceptible to pests. It's really susceptible to pathogens because you're taking it out of its normal environment that it's never been grown out. It hasn't ever grown out of the mountainous hillsides of Nepal
Yeah,
ever. until your tent.
Climate acclimation. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's a real thing.
Hmm. It matters a lot. Like this shit grows like to get a real land race, you need to be able to control all of that if you want to actually grow your real land race. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's
like
hard
take
to
a little
achieve
boy.
because you need to have those like type of VPDs, those like everything, like
Yeah,
that they would have. You know,
yeah,
like in you know,
absolutely. It's like
Afghani.
take a little
Like
boy like
perfect.
me who grew up in the hot, swampy Alabama region, drop
Mm.
me into Denver, and I'm like, is it always this cold here? I think I'm gonna die. I don't know what to do. It's so dry. My lips are falling off. But people that grew up here, their lips are fine. They have on shorts. They were used
Yeah,
to this. They were born here. Their parents were born here. Their grandparents were born here.
yeah, no, crazy as shit. People walking around in tank top and shorts and fucking
Yeah.
blizzard. You're like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? Who hurt you?
Yeah. Not me. I got on a hoodie damn near till August.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. All right. So, what's the most important factor for new growers to focus on? Lighting, nutrients, or environment?
Ooh, if I had to pick between lighting, nutrients, and environment, all three. It's like saying what's the most important thing for me to focus on as a human being? Eating food, getting sleep, or something else. It's like vitally important. It's like, well, brother, I hate to break it to you, but there's a few things we're gonna have to do as human beings just to stay at a normal baseline of alive. And so if you get your nutrients out of whack, you can still have great lighting and great environmentals, and you can kill your plant with nutrients.
Mhm.
And if you have your nutrients and your lights all in like that, you have perfectly fine, strong lights and you're feeding your nutrients just fine, but those lights are really, really hot and your environment's 120 degrees, you can still kill your plant. So you really have to have a synergy of a few things. That's like one of the basics that I learned when I was in the closet and on the roof is that there's some things that I just can't get around. I have to make sure my nutrients are okay. I have to make sure I have decent light. I have to make sure that the environment these plants are in are okay. And another one is the seeds that I start off with, the base genetics are everything. You can't expect a cup winning plant from some poop genetics. It's just not in there. It's not available to grow. You can do whatever you want and you can grow the best poop genetics that you can grow, but you still started with poop genetics. When if you would have put in the same effort with stable genetics from a known breeder, then you could have got way better results potentially. Almost always, actually.
Oh, damn. Oh,
Would you lose a page?
no. She said my internet went out. Oh,
Oh,
her
wow.
internet went out. Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, wait, my
Oh,
internet's out. How am I live right now?
yeah.
What? Blew
I'm
my
watching your live
mind.
stream right now.
Yeah, dude. Blew my mind.
Okay, cool.
Man,
We're good.
dude, that threw me off hella hard shit.
It would have thrown me off too.
Oh man, no, you were making the fucking the turd genetics. Hey, you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You can
Yeah.
grow the best turd genetics possible, but it's still like if you grew with your heart and soul on some turd genetics and I didn't do anything except throw some really good F5s in the ground and walk away, there's every chance in the world that my plants might be leaps and bounds better than yours just because they came from like good stock. It's just like how people trade horses. If you don't know about this, think about how people buy race horses and how expensive they are and why they're that expensive and why they pay for breeding these horses. Because I can get a shitty old dumb horse. He's a good boy. He's a loyal horse and he's a
That's a good
beautiful
boy.
animal. He's just not racing isn't in his blood. He ain't bred for that. He doesn't have those strong bones and those muscles. He doesn't come from that line. So no matter how much I train him, no matter how many treats and oat biscuits I give his ass, no matter how many good boy pets and chin scratches he gets throughout the day, when we get on that racetrack, these thoroughbreds are going to smoke his ass because they're just They come out of the womb ready to race. They're like, this is why I'm on Earth, is to win races. I'm a derby horse, bitch.
Built different.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how you can, that equates really good to plant genetics too, because it's the same way. You can take a bag seed, like I used to do when I was a youngin', and you can give it all the love and you can give it the best lights and the best nutrients. You can spend hours with it every day, play it chill music in the garden, and you're still growing some old bagweed seed that could be anything.
Some straight ragamuff, some boo
Yeah,
boo.
the snickle fritz. You just spent 4 months growing plants that are brown before you cut them down. You're like, how does it even grow brown? I've never even seen a weed plant grow brown. You're like, yeah, man, you got some bunk genetics, dude. I've never seen one grow brown.
Looks like a straight up turd. What did you do?
Oh man.
Love it. So, how do you decide between indoors or outdoor growing? What are the pros and cons of each?
For me, it's never really been a decision like that I had. Really, there was never a choice to me. I never really had the option to grow outdoors just because most of my life because of the legality.
Hmm.
But even now, like even where it's legal to grow here in Colorado, if we're playing by the rules of the law, I have a very limited plant count, and the law says they have to be indoors in a locked room.
Mhm.
Um, Growing outside is still, you got to have special licenses for that too. But also, like, there's only been one house I lived in Colorado where I could grow a plant outside that wouldn't be like just everyone in the neighborhood knows about it. And all it takes is one teenager to know about your plant, and your plant isn't going to make it to harvest. These kids are going to steal your weed. So
Yeah, it's
if
no
you don't
longer
live
your
in the
fault.
right place, you can't grow outside anyways. And that's usually been my problem. I just didn't have the option to grow outside. And although there are a lot of cool benefits to growing outside, what I would love to be able to just grow everything outside. Use the power of the sun, use sustainable organic methods that are renewable, that don't, increase my power bill. They don't increase nothing. I'm not harming anything. I'm just growing plants the old natural way. But when you are inside, there are a lot of benefits of that too. There's a lot of things you deal with when growing outdoors that you never have to deal with growing inside. I know people that have had their plants eaten by deer. 6.5 foot plants, mid flower, beautiful plants with 4 months of work put into them, mutilated by white-tailed deer. That's one thing that'll never happen to me in my house. Ain't no deer in here.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
one cat in here, and he's not going to do nothing to my plants. And like bugs, caterpillars, a lot of things you got to worry about outside. Maybe you have a big storm. I know a lot of people that have grown outside and then they get these huge, beautiful buds. And then right there at the end of flower, when you're the most susceptible to bud rot, you have like 4 weeks of storms and rain back to back to back to back. And there's nothing you can do because you're outside. Also, when you're outside, you have a bunch of, uh, you know, cloudy days. You're at the whim of the weather. And inside, you can set it up to where it's just like you were having a perfect, in like a perfect sunny day every day. And so I try to grow inside though. I try to mimic as many things from outside as I can. So like one of the ways I do that is at the end of flower, I like to start dropping off my temps lower and lower and lower, daytime and nighttime temps. So the end of flower is going to mimic the end of the outdoor season. We're going to be in October. It's going to be cold outside outdoors. So I'm trying to mimic the temps dropping from the spring through the autumn and into the winter. I'm trying to mimic that inside as much as I can.
That deer, found out a good trick. If you're ever growing outdoors and you got a lot of deer, it costs a little bit of money, but deer have a really bad depth perception.
Okay.
So the trick is you put up two fence lines, right? One fence line has to be about 4 or 5 feet, and then the other one could be short as shit. It don't matter. Like you could literally have like
Yeah.
a short fucking fence, right? He'll jump the first fence. He sees the second fence. His depth perception's all fucked up, so he won't think that he can actually jump over that. Even in all reality, he could step over it, but they get
Yeah.
scared and they turn around and jump back over the first fence.
Oh wow, what an easy deterrent.
Hmm.
Because like if it's not a deterrent like that, like if you haven't convinced that deer that this isn't worth his time,
Yep.
he'll get shocked and he'll rip up cages out of the ground and he'll destroy. He's like, man,
Fuck
I don't
yeah.
give a damn. I don't know if you have ever eaten weed plants before, but they're real good, brother.
Yeah.
And they're real rare out here in the Alabama landscape. We don't come across many OG Kush plants. This dude's got 25 of them, and I'm eating them. I don't care if I get shocked or have to eat through a cage or whatever it takes.
I love
But if
it,
they
dude.
look at it and they've convinced themselves, oh, yeah, I can't even get there.
Okay, make it happen. Can make it happen. So, what is your approach to ensuring the optimal soil health or choosing the right grow medium? Either one.
Usually I'm growing in cocoa most of the time.
Most of the time. Oh, yeah.
Or a
Cocoa
cocoa
from the
mix.
wing.
What's up?
Cocoa perlite mix. Cocoa.
Cocoa
Yeah.
perlite. Yep. Cocoa
Okay.
perlite. And I like the Tupper by Royal Gold. Royal Gold. That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
It also has like some like wood chips. I think they call it forest floor,
Yeah.
but it has some stuff like that. And
No,
so for the most part, it's pretty inert. But I like to keep everything nice and healthy and up to par in that kind of situation with just like some beneficial bacteria, like some mycorrhizal fungi. It's really a good way to it really acts as a good mediator, it seems, between your roots and the nutrients in the soil and everything in your soil, really. And say, like, even this fungus helps to say you have too much nitrogen, it helps to sort of mitigate in between. It's like, all right, I'm going to pass through some of this nitrogen, but I'm going to also keep some over here because I know that if I throw it over here to my root homies, they're not going to like that.
hell yeah. Yeah. The best way I heard it is the like that fungi, mycorrhiza, shit like that. Any of that type of shit is it needs the roots to live, right? So they'll wrap
Yeah.
themselves around there and they literally like bodyguards, like you were saying, like bouncers or whatever. They only
Yeah,
allow a certain amount in because then they
absolutely.
feed off of that, you know? And that is perfect. That was a perfect way of saying it, bro. I love it. Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. So what is no shit. You already answered that one too. You answered that one with the other question. Hell yeah. Killing it, dude. Fuck. All right, so we only got a couple more and then we'll wrap it up here. How do you handle your nutrient mitigation and avoiding common issues like overfeeding and deficiencies?
Um, Nutrients is a big one. That's important, especially where I'm going the way I'm going now with hydro. It reminds me more than ever to be sure your nutrients are on point because unlike we're talking with having beneficial bacteria in a soil or a cocoa mix, when you're doing hydroponics, you're really just putting whatever that nutrient mix is, you're just slapping it right up against the roots raw, baby. You're dipping those roots right directly into the nutrient mix.
Giving it the
And if your
juice.
pH is off, your ppm is off, that can really shock your plant, especially with no bodyguard there to mitigate the door. Everybody's getting in. They're causing a ruckus. They're starting a riot in the club. It's not fun. And so checking pH and checking my ppm and really following that feeding schedule from the manufacturer. And another thing I like to always recommend to people is the manufacturer sells nutrients. That's their business model. They want you as the consumer to use as many of their nutrients as possible. So you have to buy more of their nutrients as soon as possible. So if they can get away with recommending that you run 2,000 parts per million, they will. So for any line that run, like a lot of lines will have a few different levels of feed. I know, like for the GH, they'll do like light feed, medium feed, aggressive feed. And I'll always tell people just to start out on that light feed. It might be all you need. If you see deficiencies, you can always bump up. And if you don't have to feed those heavier feedings, that's just more money in your pocket because it's less nutrients you got to buy. And cannabis is one of these plants that has a really high tolerance to a lot of nutrients. Like it can tolerate a bunch of nutrients. And so a lot of people will give their plants a shitload of nutrients and look at them and say, yes, they're healthy. So they needed those nutrients. But that's not because they're not healthy because they have that many nutrients. They're healthy despite having that many nutrients. And maybe it's because you have such a good, fungus in your roots that's sort of mitigating that. But I like to start slow, work up if needed. And many, 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 many times when people reach out to me on Discord or in an email and they send me a picture of their plants and they say, what's going on with this? I can't understand. It looks crazy. It's horrible. I'll ask, what's the ppm? What's the pH of your feeding? 9 times out of 10, they're like, I don't know. I haven't been checking it. I'm like, well, that is your problem. That's the problem. You have to. That's one of these things like we talked about earlier. There's some of the things on this list that you just have to do. Just like being a human, we have to eat. We have to sleep. There's a few things we have to do on this list to keep us healthy and alive. And just like for the plant, it's the same way. And that's one of those things. It's just one of the things you have to do is you have to stay on top of this. You can't just mix up anything and put it in there because the way it works is this plant and all plants, they can only uptake nutrients. Even if you mix in all of the nutrients from the schedule and you give it to your plant, all the nutrients are there. But if that pH is in the wrong range, then the plant can't uptake those nutrients. The plant can only uptake certain nutrients at certain pH ranges. There's really helpful charts that just like show this visually. It's real colorful and fun, but it'll really show you how important it is because it'll show you the uptake range at your ideal pH compared to the uptake range at other pHs. And you'll see that your plant just can't utilize these nutrients at the wrong pH level.
100%.
So if you don't have that dialed in, you can give them everything in the world and they're never going to be able to use it correctly. And if you don't know how much you're actually giving them, you can say, yeah, put a little bit in there. But what does that equate to? What's the EC of this mix? What's the parts per million in your water? Do you know what you're actually feeding the plants? And I also like to, I'll do runoff testing too. I'm a fan of testing runoff, especially when I'm like, running in a soil or cocoa. Water that medium until a little bit comes out of the bottom. Test what's coming out of the bottom. Compare it to what you put in the top. If you put in something at the top at 6.4 and it came out of the bottom at 10, something is insane is going on in here. Your medium must have a really high pH if it's changing this mix from 6 to 10 in the space of 1 foot of travel,
100%, 100%, bro. That was all great advice. Yeah, because you have your your optimal uptake ranges, and then you have your stressed uptake ranges. I can never remember the other.
I don't know the exact term, but that's that range where you're out of the ideal range, and you see your normal uptake on the graph was real big and fat, and now your uptake has slimmed down to this little thin line, and you're like, well, that's nothing there, and it's really not. It's not enough for the plant.
Yeah.
That's why some plants only grow in some regions of the planet. It's the same way. Some plants prefer an acidic soil, or maybe not prefer it, but they've adapted to grow in that acidic soil because where they came from naturally, that's what the soil conditions were. And so those plants just can't grow everywhere in the world. They need that acidic soil because that plant works in that way. It can uptake nutrients because every plant is a little different in the way this chart might look. But for cannabis, it's not that wide of a range. And if you're outside of that range, you're just not getting the nutrients you need, and your plant's going to suffer a lot.
100%. 100%. Hell yeah. So we talked a little on the nutrients and everything. What is your go-to method for pest prevention and to control it in your grow space?
Ooh, one of the big ones for me is just preventing cross contamination, because I'm working in commercial grows, and some of these grows, they're just infested. Like, say there's a spider mite infestation in a big room, and this is my job. This is how I pay the bills. This is how I gotta go to work and clock in. I gotta work in this room all day. There's no getting around it.
Yep.
And if my job is try to mitigate spider mites for 8 hours, I know that I'm covered in spider mites. I know that I'm taking it home with me. If I'm working on plants with powdery mildew at 4:55, and then I clock out at 5 o'clock, and I go home and reach directly into my garden with the same shirt and my same unwashed hands, well, the chances of me spreading something are really increasing there. So one of the main things for me is just preventing this cross contamination from work. So I have a little routine where when I come home from the garden, I'll step out in the garage or in the outside room, and I'll take all of my clothes off and put them in a garbage bag. And all of the work clothes stay in a garbage bag, tied up real tight until they go to the laundromat. So as soon as they come off of me, they go into the laundry bag, tied up tight, and they never go in the house even. Or they go in the house, if they have to go in the house, if there's no garage, they go in the house as far away from the grow room as possible, and they're like quarantined. And I'm making sure I'm all washed up, I have a shower, everything before I go into my grow room. Same if I go visit your grow room. If I came over to your crib and handled your plants, even if they didn't show any signs of pests, even if they didn't show any signs of pathogens, it's just like a good practice. Just like when you're working in the kitchen, you handle some beef, you wash your hands before you handle the chicken. And I do the same thing when handling plants. So that's a big preventative to me. And I also just like preventative sprays. I don't really like to wait until I have a pest infestation. And a lot of grows, honestly, I'll grow through the whole grow and I won't really do anything. I mean, I'll be really conscious of being preventative, but as far as applying something to the plant or doing a spray or a pest, like a beneficial bug, I won't do any of that. When I do, I try to do it as a preventative rather than like an, oh shit, we've been attacked.
Yeah, prevent it instead of reacting to it.
Yeah. And I like, when I do that, I like just natural oils and stuff that can really affect a lot of our common pests. It affects their like nervous system, and it makes it to where it's pretty much impossible for them to reproduce. And even if it doesn't kill them immediately, which usually it will, but even if it doesn't, they can't reproduce, and it kills off the colonies real quick. I like stuff like, I don't know, there's a bunch: peppermint oil, clove oil, like lemongrass, citric acid is a good one. Like all of these things that when you hear me say them, they're easy to pronounce. You've heard of them before. You know where they come from. They might even be in a beverage you drink later today. Some little lemongrass? Yeah, man. I'll put that in my mouth. If it's things that I'll put directly into my mouth, I usually don't mind putting them on my plants either.
Makes sense. Yeah. Real quick, I saw somebody wanted to know what type of nutrients do you use. I don't know if I did ask that.
No, you didn't. Right now, I've been running this Athena line, which has been giving me good results. I've been running it on an autoflower setup in a flood and drain system. So I've been running it at half strength because I'm doing the autoflowers. They just seem to want half strength. And it's been giving me great results. I'm excited to like take this to a bigger grow and see it across more cultivars. But it's also like a really unique nutrient line. I don't know if you've ever used it, but you pretty much mix the whole nutrient line up backwards. Like even the bottles listed as Grow B and Grow A, you think in your mind you mix Grow A first. Yeah. But with Athena, you mix Grow B first, and then you mix Grow A. And you start the entire process with your pH adjustment. Yeah, it's all backwards. So the first time you set it up, you got to like put all your nutrients in and then figure out how much of the pH adjuster it takes to get you into your sweet spot that first time. And then you're like, okay, after I made my mix, it took me 5 mils per gallon to get it to 6.0. And then you know the next time, before you even start mixing in your nutrients, you just put in 5 mils per gallon of this pH adjustment. It's called balance.
Yeah, yeah.
You just put that in first, then you mix all your nutrients, and it's good. Or in theory, it should be good when you're done.
Should be
It's
good.
a little learning curve. Sometimes I'll still have to get some of my regular pH down and adjust it just a little bit because I didn't get the calculations off. I mean, calculation right.
I seen their grow book, dude. I love Athena's grow book.
It's
It's
so
fucking
nice.
thick
There's
as
so much.
shit. Yeah, there's so
It's
much knowledge.
besides it being just a useful tool on how to use their product, it's also just like full of a lot of good growing information just in general.
100%.
And it's thick. Like you said, it's like this damn thick.
Heck, yeah, thick as shit. Um, so what is the most innovative or unconventional technique that you've tried that works surprisingly well?
Oh, I don't know if I've really tried that many really innovative or unconventional techniques because I still feel like I'm in most ways like a little baby grower, like a deer in the headlights. I still feel like I have so much to learn about the basics and the fundamentals that I really just want to get those basics and fundamentals down. And also since I'm a new grower and I haven't tried all the methods of growing. I haven't tried most of the methods of growing. I haven't grown most cultivars out there. There's a lot of things I still haven't done. And for that reason, I like to always sort of do something new. Let's try a new strain this time. Let's try a new nutrient line this time, a new light this time. I'm always trying, see if I like something better than the last time I did it. And so I really don't feel like it's best practice to go and let's try hydroponics for the first time ever. But let's get real unconventional with it and let's go all wacky and do some off the wall shit that no one ever did before,
Yeah,
even
man.
though I'm a beginner. So I'm still trying to really just make sure I have a really good grasp on the fundamentals and the basics. And really
Ain't mad at that.
I'm sure after I find the style that I stick with, like maybe if I did hydroponics 20 times in a row,
Mhm.
I know by the 20th time I'm going to be trying new stuff. I'm going to be trying little innovations and little new tricks. But for now, I still feel much like a beginner and like let's just keep it. Let's follow the things that people do. Sometimes I'll trust my gut and I'll say, it says to do this, but I'm going to do it a little different. But
Mhm.
usually it's nothing like big or noteworthy.
Okay. Okay. So, what's your philosophy on balancing quality versus yield in the cannabis cultivation?
Oh man, that's a juxtaposition I see a lot from going from my home grow to the commercial side. Commercial side is they want X amount of pounds. I've never seen anyone with
Mhm.
their Q3 goals to have a terpene profile in their Q3 goals. They don't care about that. They care about weight, harvest weight. They care about the money they made. And they'll do whatever they got to do to make the money, but it all starts with the weight. They got to have that weight. For me, as a home grower, when I have a successful 5x5 tent, even if it's a plant that I would not consider a high yielder, this is plenty for me and my brother to have at the house for a while. Not only is it plenty for me to have for a while, almost every time I do anything 5x5 or bigger, I'm gifting out so many jars of flour. You get a jar, you get a jar, you get a jar. Everybody I come across for those first few months when we're just jarred up,
Yeah.
'cause you'll have too many jars. I'll have
Mhm.
sea vaults, the big sea vaults that look like soup cans, and I'll have the big tall jars that are like 4-gallon glass jars. And
Yeah.
when you have these things all over your house, you can, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, have so much cannabis that it can be a nuisance to your life. It's not a problem of having too much weed. It's just not a problem of having too little space. So you're like, look, I can't even move around the house. There's so much weed. Plus, I'm all excited. My friends all like weed. I
Mhm.
like sharing weed with people. I like showing them stuff I'm proud of. It's sort of like putting out a new video. You know how you feel when you put out one of those videos you really liked and you're looking at all the good comments and you're like, man, that feels good. I made that. I did that. and then I shared it with them, and then they liked it. It's
Fuck
the
yeah.
same kind of rewarding feeling when you give somebody some weed you grew yourself, and they're like, man, I really like this. One of my friends told me I gave some of that bud you gave me to one of my friends, which first off was really cool. I had given this guy so much weed that he was gifting weed to his friends.
Hell
He
yeah.
was like, this guy told me that he wanted to know, could he get some more of that from you? Because he said that weed wasn't like the stuff he buys at the store, and that's the highest he's been in a long time. And I was like, what? He didn't say that. Not about my old raggedy ass plants.
Fuck.
I was like, that feels really good, man. That's amazing. Like, tell him not only can he have some more, tell him I'm just going to give it to him for the free. He could just enjoy that.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah.
So that's awesome, man. So for at home, I'm not worried about quantity ever. I'm not worried. If I want more, I'll do it again. To me, I'm worried about the quality. This is personal. This isn't just recreational for me either. This is a medicine for me, and it's something that I use a lot. And for something that can be so vastly different just based off of like how it was grown and the care you put into it, like it can be a much better medicine if you're focused on quality over quantity. And so that's always
Actual
my
care.
goal. I would rather grow an eighth of something amazing than a field of something that was unremarkable.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, we fucking crushed it, bro. We got through all the questions. I
Hell
know we
yeah.
got a couple questions here in chat, and then yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. I see a lot of the
Fucking
homies
killing
still
it.
in chat. Thank you all for kicking it with us this whole time. We got Bizzle 420 in the house. Tops are tops. Lady in the rain. What's up, homies?
Hell yeah. Thank you all. Thank you all. So Tazarello wants to know, can an 8 to 9 week flowering cultivar finish in 6 weeks?
It can. I mean, sure. Can it? I don't know. What are we calling finish? That's let's pull a Bill Clinton. That
Yeah.
depends on what your definition of finish is.
Fucking
Because I have like I say, my opinions might be a little skewed by the commercial side. And in the commercial side, everything I've worked at grows, and this is how it works. The grow room itself determines the flower time. So this is like, for instance, this is an 8-week room. This room has an 8-week turnaround. That means it doesn't matter what strain we put in here.
It's at 8 weeks.
It flowers for 8 weeks, and then we chop it down and we do another round. I don't give a damn if it's a 12-week strain. We don't have the time for that because we're trying to get so many harvests per year. And they sell it. They send it to the dispensary. People buy it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are happy with it. And they do it all over again. They do it time after time after time. Would that strain have been much, much better if you would have gave it 3 more weeks? Yeah. If it was a 12-week strain, absolutely it would have been. So, yeah, you can. You can cut it down. You could cut, like, because that's the thing. And it's also a little personal preference, too. You might prefer a clearer trichome than me. You might prefer a more up, speedier high, a more clear head, while I might prefer the more couch lock. I like a good narcotic feeling high from my buds. I like really strong indicas like that. And some people don't like that at all. So to where I'm trying to let my plant go a little longer, make sure I'm getting a lot of those amber trichomes all the way through the top, through the bottom of the plant. Or not a lot, but a good percentage, maybe 20, 25, 30%. Some people might not want to see that at all because they prefer a different kind of effect. They need a different kind of medicine. So it depends. And I know that's a shitty answer, and I'm sorry, but that's just how a lot of answers with growing go. There's a lot of it depends answers.
It's the only answer for that question, honestly. It depends. All right. Tops wants to know, have you ever tried earth boxes?
No, I haven't. Is that just a raised no-till, like living soil bed?
Yeah, I was about to ask the same thing. Pretty sure.
Tops. I have not only have I not tried them, I'm not even fully familiar with what they are. So no, but if I should, let me know because I'm open to everything. Like I said, I like trying new techniques. I like trying new stuff, and like living soil and like organic growing is one thing that I've never got into. It's some area of that's one of the areas of growing that I'm still really looking forward to exploring one day.
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. No.
No, I've never topped an auto. I was just asking everybody in my Discord if they did any training to their autos earlier today. And from most of the feedback I got too is people are, for the most part, just letting them do their thing.
Yeah. If you can keep it in a very happy environment, you can top like in the early stages of its life, but you have to keep it very happy. It is very hard to achieve, but it is doable.
And you know, I'm thinking that like I could have negative results that I maybe don't even notice because if my plant was stunted for a week, then that might not like really change the growth rate. I mean, the look of the growth. There was just 1 week of time that it didn't grow that fast. But when a plant only grows 8 weeks total, or 9 weeks total, that 1 week could account for a lot. That's an extra week. It could have been more prepared for flower, to bulk up and make more trikes at the end of flower.
Literally about to say that same shit. Like if yeah. Yeah. You're fucking killing it with the answers, goddamn.
Good. I'm glad we're locked in and on the same page.
You pH to 6 for flood and drain. Oh.
Pretty much. That's like the middle of the road. I'm shooting for. I have a range that's acceptable to me. 5.8 is as low as I want to go. 6.2 is as high as I want to go. So if I check my resi and I'm at 6, we're golden. I don't got to do nothing.
Hell yeah. Macho wants to know if you got any more of that free weed.
Macho, I got some harvest coming up. Buddy.
Make something happen.
Yeah.
Look, see, there you go, Macho. That's an excuse. Come on down to Colorado, bro. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Let's link up. We're here.
Bizzle, what you growing? That's what he wants to know.
Right now, I got in the tent. Right now, I got double grape from Mephisto. Like I said, I'm trying my hand at these autos, and I got a few autos that I'm ready to pop off next. For the next round, I think I want to do some more of the double grape, just because the terp profile on this is turning out to be crazy candy gas, and I'm loving it.
Double grape
from Mephisto. The pictures are insane on their website. I'm hoping mine can look half that good when it's done. But also I have papaya cookies from 420 Fast Buds I'm about to pop. I have was it papaya cookies? Papaya cookies, and then Gorilla. Do you remember what the Gorilla freebies were that Sebastian was giving out in Las Vegas?
I think those are just Gorilla cookies.
Gorilla cookies. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So I think I'm mixing maybe the papaya cookies is papaya cookies. Maybe I got a Gorilla cookies and a papaya cookies from 420 Fast Buds. And then I got another one from Mephisto that's
it's the Gorilla cookies autos.
I'm going to run those too, man. I'm excited to try those out. Yep, the same exact ones. And I'm also going to do another one from Mephisto that is Forum Stomper crossed with Green Crack. And that's some of the ones I'm about to run very, very soon. Like I think I'm going to be popping my can cherry for the very first time, like within the next couple of weeks.
Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah. It's definitely worth the time, bro. The can is sick as shit. I'm a shot glass popper, so I have a bunch of them, and now I'm using them for other things, which is redundant. But I wanted to use them for
school of soaking anyway. See, I don't come from a headspace of soaking. I come from a headspace of paper towel. It's always been my game. Paper towel in a Ziploc bag on the heat pad, and then to see this, and then like to see it, just to see it, and to hear the concept, I was like, oh, okay. And then when he explained how like the circulation of like the water and the water vapor and the humidity and it's all moving around, it's keeping everything fresh. Like my brain is just lighting up. The more he's telling me about it, I'm just like going, oh, really? Oh, really? And then he starts showing me everybody's pictures or like videos, and he'd be like, here's 18 hours, here's 24 hours, and here's 30 hours. And it'll be like 80 seeds, literally 80 seeds, 3-inch tap roots. And you're like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, dude, you gotta be careful with you. I will say the only problem is sometimes they'll try to grow in the can. That's the problem. If you don't pay attention, they will
your
grow.
can and you got a 6-inch tall plant with 7 leaves growing out of it.
Yeah, dude. Those things.
John just said in the chat, he said, Gorilla Cookies. Oh, I thought he said something about what he just popped.
Oh, he popped some freebies from Vegas.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Was definitely papaya cookies, Matt, says Brittany Kearney. Okay, Brittany was there when I ordered them. So thank you for the reminder, Brittany. All right, so I got papaya cookies, which I've been loving. Man, everything, like right now, I have sour papaya and I got straw guava. So I got 2 papaya crosses right here of live resin. And it's just been one of my go-tos lately, especially when I'm getting some nice live extracts. I'm like, these papaya strains and crosses. It's just like this tropical fruity, like I'm on a beach somewhere, like I'm about to go snorkeling with the turtles, man. And so I was like thinking, what would be fun to grow at home, Nick? What's been fun to us lately? What's been fun to my nose lately? And I was like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. So I'm hoping that this is half of what I'm expecting it to be. Because if it's even half as smelly as I'm expecting it to be, it's going to be a lot of fun to have in my house.
Hell yeah, bro. No, I've had what was it, papaya cake, and I wasn't honestly a fan of it, dude. And I really want to try just like the straight papaya strains and shit, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. If
it
you
could have
say it's
always
good,
been the wedding cake that was in there too, or it could have been the specific pheno you got, or it could have been the specific breeder you got it from, you know?
Yeah.
Because some people will want me to shit on a strain sometimes. They'll be like, man, don't that strain suck ass? I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. But even if it does to you, somebody else likes it.
100%.
And even if it grew bad for you this time from this person, I bet there's a version out there that does better. There's just so much
and that's
out there, man.
that's why I didn't give. That's why I like hating on the papaya. I just didn't like the papaya cake. I want to try papaya.
Yeah.
What was your favorite harvest of last year?
The favorite harvest of last year was, it's got to be the one that we did in the kitchen, man. It was so stupid. We grew a whole 5x5 tent in our kitchen, our active kitchen, where we cook dinner every night and where we eat it. And it was like, also, it wasn't just a 5x5 tent. It was a 5x5 tent with a like 35-gallon water reservoir and a big ass 20-pound CO2 tank and like an 8-inch exhaust fan. All of this shit's just blasting off in the kitchen, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy. It didn't make any sense. People would, as soon as you open the door, the door could open just enough to where it like touched the grow tent as it went by. And so you will open my front door and you can't even see the kitchen because it's grow tent. You're like, bro, what are you doing up in here? It's like, just a little plant experiment. Don't worry about it. But we had some stuff from Exotic Genetics. I had Gary Payton. I had Moneyball, which is Gary Payton and Gary Poppins crossed. So it's just like a bunch of Gary Payton all crossed together. And then we had the Night Moves, which is the Midnight Runts, which is also known as the Obama Runts, mixed with the Scotty Too Hottie, or crossed with the Scotty Too Hottie. And both of those, man, they were just really photogenic. They were really frosty. I messed them both up really bad, which is funny that it was still my favorite. But it was my favorite despite what happened to them, because I was using an infrared UV light that wasn't on a timer. So I forgot to turn that off a couple of times. And so I got some seeds. And then I was out of state during the end of flower. And so I got some bud rot. And so it was like a harvest with seeds and bud rot, but it was still fun. And it was the learning experience, and it was in the kitchen.
Hell yeah. My latest son. Hey, yeah, he's the same height as me. He's literally like.
I don't know, man. I've met you in real life, and to me, like, you seem appropriately sized. If that's any condolence.
I'm fucking dead. I don't know if that's an insult or
No, not
compliment.
at all. You seem absolutely like appropriately sized. How could that be an insult? Appropriate means like correct, normal, as expected, you know, like there's no shade. Like there was no reason for me to look at you on the internet and think this guy's going to be a crazy size when I see him in real life. He's going to be real tall or real short.
Dude, no, I'm really like 7 foot. I just walk around on my knees.
This is a really tall chair. You can't tell. Everything in my room is oversized, so I look normal size. You pick up one of these, you're like, this is actually a normal size Coke can.
Yeah. I'm oversized. Oh yeah, man. Well, if anybody got any questions, this is your final chance. We're gonna wrap it up here in what is it? 4 minutes? Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here in like 4 minutes. So
boom, that was all the questions I had pinned from Psycho Chick. Bizzle's in the house still. We got the Spickled Dabs in the house. Can, my guy. I see a lot of homies here that I recognize. This is what I was talking about earlier, how it's so cool to see this community all over and like so many different people's live chats and video comments and everything. The Spickled Dab says, Matt, my guy, Strange Show, much love. Thank you, homie. Thanks for coming and kicking it with us. I mean, kicking it with us.
Oh, yeah.
Bizzle says, did Matt get his free Canatrol yet? No, is that a real option? Is that on the table? Canatrol, hook it up, dude. I'm about to have these new grows going. I'm out here on Instagram. I'm always commenting on your stuff, talking about how cool they are. I just commented on Chubb's post today, like, yeah, man, that thing's really cool. I hope I can try one day. Bro, I'm out here trying to be low key in the background. I'm not speaking up and begging, but I'm out here saying, man, that sure would be cool in the comments.
Dropping little breadcrumbs here, breadcrumbs there.
Breadcrumb trail. Maybe I should just reach out directly, stop playing games. Say, hey, look, here's the deal. I want you to send me this Canatrol for free. And I'm going to put it on the internet for everyone to see. Win-win for all of us.
I love it. Well, no, man, Bizzle's going to send his out to everybody. He's just going to write his name on it. He's going to send it to you. You're going to use it for a harvest. You're going to write your name on it, send it to me. I'll write mine. You know?
That's nice. That's very
It's going to be the community troll.
That's very cool, dude. And then everyone who puts in on it, you can put a sticker with your logo on the side. So when everyone else is using it in their videos, you know, you got a little bit of advertisement in there. It's like all ours.
Let's go.
Matt for the win. Give this man a Canatrol for the frizzle, dude. That would be fun. I would use it. I think I would enjoy it because really, like, I don't get nervous about growing anymore, you know? Growing in the beginning, it could be nervous. Like sometimes I'd pop a seed or start to grow and be like, oh man, here we go. Now it's not that way at all. I'm not worried about anything. If anything happens, the worst that can happen is the plant will die and I'll start over. No big deal. It's a learning experience. But when it comes to drying and curing, not curing as much, really the drying specifically, that's the only thing that puts a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety in me. Because now at this point, it's not just like, I'll just throw it away and start over. Now it's already done. I've put in the work. The buds are in my hand. We've made it, ladies and gentlemen. We have fresh nugs. All we have to do now is let them dry out. And if you do it wrong, you can make your shit taste like hay forever. You can lose your terpenes. You can ruin so much. And so it's like, please, 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 please. And I'm always trying to not let it go too long. But and then I'm always scared, like, is this too wet? And then I'm always like thinking to myself, man, people can't really be serious that they're waiting for these branches to snap like a cracker. And then the next day I'll be like, you know what? this is too wet. I have to wait for these branches to snap like a cracker. I'm all over the place. Like, I'm in there all the time. I'm too worried about it. So if I could just have a thing where I just put it in there and push a button and it's good, maybe refill my little water filter, moisten my filter.
Yeah, bro. They're shiny as hell. I love them. I love
Have
them.
you ever used one?
No, I've seen them in the facility a couple times, but I've never personally used it. Seen it seen it work, but I don't know. It's too much money for me.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Like, that's the thing. It is cool. It's just that, like, I'm not. A lot of people that buy these are probably making money with the cannabis they're putting in them. They're taking the cannabis out of there and they're selling it to someone. And I'm not doing that. It's just personal use, head stash, give a jar to my friends kind of shit.
Well,
And so it's hard for me to justify.
I don't know.
I
Maybe
don't
if you
have that much money.
if you don't have like a dry tent and shit, and you have the extra Skrilla, I suppose.
Yeah. If I
I
had the
suppose.
extra money, for sure.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't often find myself having a few extra $1,000. That'd be nice. That'd be a
Sitting
fun problem
around.
to have. We'll get there one day, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, we could all dream. We could dream.
Yeah.
Gotta set goals, man. Gotta set goals. But shit. I suppose we'll wrap it up here, man. Thank you again for coming, bro. Such a killer show. I fucking had a blast picking your brain, figuring out how
I
you
had a
do things,
blast too,
bro.
man. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It was a really good time. I think we had a good conversation. A lot of good questions you asked tonight, homie. Thanks again for having me on.
Of course, brother. Again, thank you. If you want, shout yourself out. Pretty sure we'll have most of your links in the description, but still, shout yourself out, man.
Dope. For anybody that doesn't know, my channel is just youtube.com/strain show. I do a bunch of cannabis history type of stuff. Like, I cover the history of your favorite strains and different cannabis laws. I cover like weed research type of stuff, break down the newest research and what it means for me and you at home. And I even have a little bit of growing videos. I got a whole beginner's grow guides playlist. It's like 19 videos long. Some of these videos are 20 and 30 minutes long. It'll take you all the way from seed to cure and smoking the stuff you just grew. And we're about to start dropping all of this new hydro stuff. I got new tents popping off right now. And so that's what I'm looking at for 2025. More cannabis history, more fun plant facts, and more fun growing advice and grow alongs. So youtube.com/strain show. Check it out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Make sure, tap in, bro. This guy's fucking goat. Goddamn goat
Thank
right
you
here.
so much, homie. I really appreciate that. That means a lot.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, as always, y'all, stay high, my friends.
Peace.